Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, we are going to cut and sew this sweetheart neckline bustier dress and this detachable keyhole neckline yoke. If you're interested, keep on watching and let's get started. So we'll be doing the pattern drafting in this video and we are going to be sewing it in the next tutorial. So I'll start by taking my point. This dress is an off shoulder dress, so I'll be taking out 5 inches before I start placing my point. So it depends on how deep you want the neckline to be. So for me, I took out 5 inches and I'm going to mark the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. Distance from my shoulder to my under bust point is 13 inches. The distance from my shoulder to my waist point is 16 inches. I'll go ahead and rule straight lines across all the points. So remember to take out the 5 inches or whatever inches you want to take out before you start placing your point. Is very important. I'm going to go ahead and start labeling my lines. I have the bust line, the under bust line, and the waist line. I have 1 inch left on the base of the pattern paper, which is going to serve as my stitching allowance. The next thing I'll do is to place my bust span measurement, which is half of my nipple to nipple measurement plus half an inch for stitching allowance. I'll place it on my bust line, on the under bust line, and on the waistline. After doing that, I'm going to connect the 3 dots into a straight line. So whatever your bust span measurement is, that is half of your nipple to nipple measurement, go ahead and add half inch to that measurement and then place it and rule a straight line across. The next thing I'll do is to take in my dart. So to do that, I'm going to add 1 inch to the measurement that I have on the bust line, on the under bust line, and the waistline. So what I have on those lines is 4.5 inches. I went ahead to add 1 inch to that measurement, making it 5.5 inches. So I placed the 5.5 inches on the neckline of this pattern paper. That's the start of my pattern paper, and I connected from there to meet the bust line in a slant. To take in my darts, I'm going to take 1.5 inches on the side front, which is the side towards the armhole area. If you're on a bigger side, go ahead and take 2 inches. Okay, so I'll mark 2 inches on the waistline, on the under bust line, and on the center front, which is the side facing me, I'll take half an inch on the waistline and half an inch on the under bust line. After doing that, I'll connect the dots into a straight line. The next thing I'll do is to place my tape on the bust line and I'll go down by 1 inch. I'll indicate the 1 inch with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to use the curved part of my ruler to connect from the under bust line to meet the 1 inch mark, just like you see me doing. So go ahead and connect. Make sure the line is not that curvy and is not straight either. And on this center front, I'm just going to slant it down. I'm not going to make it into a curve. I'm just going to slant it straight down. So this is what I have. The next thing I'll do is to tighten the over bust. To do that, I'm going to go out by 1 inch from this center front, and on the side front I'll go out by half an inch. After doing that, I'm going to go up from the bust line by 1 inch. Okay, I'm doing this so we don't have any sharp edge on the bust area. So I'll indicate the 1 inch as you can see me doing, and then I'm going to use my ruler to connect to meet the 1 inch like this. After tightening the over bust, I'm going to blend this bust area. So if you see any sharp edge, go ahead and blend everything in. The next thing I'll do is to place my bust circumference divided by 4 on the shoulder line. I'm going to replace this dart of 1.5 inches, and then I'll add 1.5 inches as my stitching allowance. On the under bust line, I'll place my under bust circumference divided by 4. I replace the dart of 2 inches, and I'll add 1.5 inches for my stitching allowance. On the waistline, I'll place my waist circumference divided by 4. I'll replace the 2 inches dart, and I'll add 1.5 inches for my stitching allowance. After doing that, I'm going to connect the 3 dots together. As you guys can see, the dress is a sleeveless dress, but I don't want the armhole area to be poking me, so I'm just going to go down by half an inch from the armhole area, and I'll slant from there to meet this dart leg. As you can see, this is to make the armhole area more comfortable for me. The next thing is to determine the neckline. So I want to do a sweetheart neckline, so I'm going to go down from the chest line by 2 inches. It depends on how deep you also want the neckline to be. I'm going to use the curved part of my ruler to just connect from that 2 inches to meet this dart leg. As you can see, after doing that, guys, we are done with the front pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and cut just like you see me doing. Pay close attention so you know where to cut. So guys, I'm done cutting, and this is what I have. As you can see, I've not cut out the sleeve sweetheart neckline because I want to use this pattern to cut out the back first, then I'm going to trim off the neckline. So I have the center front and the side front, and this is my fabric. Before I forget, I'll be using 4 yards of this Ankara print for this tutorial. So for the back, I went ahead to fold my fabric into 2, and I'm going to mark my zipper allowance of 2 inches. So I'll place my tape like this, and I'll mark 2 inches. After doing that, I'll connect the dots into a straight line, and I'm going to bring my 2 front pattern. I'm going to place them like this. I'll first of all place the center front, and then I'm going to place the side front on it, okay, in such a way that this curved part of the bustier area is covered. So just look at what I am doing. I'm just going to make sure I leave about 1 inch on this center here that is going to serve as my dart allowance. Okay, so after doing that, go ahead and pin your pattern paper down. But if you don't want to go through this process, you can go ahead and draft out the back pattern exactly as the front pattern. The only difference is that you are going to add zipper allowance to the back of it. So I went ahead to mark half an inch all the way around, which is going to serve as my stitching allowance. The next thing I did was to adjust my zipper area. So I took 1 inch from the zipper allowance on the waist area, and I'm going to connect from that point to the neckline of the back. And yeah, that is all for the back. I'm just going to go ahead and cut out. So make sure you add half an inch to the upper part and on the base, and then go ahead and notch your dart. After cutting out, I went ahead to also split my zipper allowance, and this is what I have. I'm going to remove my pattern paper. Okay, go ahead and determine the back neckline. For me, I went down by 2 inches and I slanted like this. You can also decide to leave the back neckline the way it is, but if you want to go down by 1 inch or 1.5 inches. After doing that, I went ahead to cut it out, and this is what I have. So I'll notch my zipper allowance just so I know where my zipper allowance is, and I'm going to open this back piece up for you guys to see. So this is what it looks like. I have 2 pieces. I'm going to go ahead and iron air stay to this fabric, and I'll also cut out my lining piece exactly as this. Okay, so I'll keep this aside. For the center front and the side front, I went ahead to place them on my fabric folded into 2. Make sure that your center front is on fold, and then go ahead and add half an inch all the way around the pattern paper. Okay, so I added half an inch to the neckline area, that's the chest area, sorry, the base, the sides. Okay, so this half an inch is going to give me room to stick this bustier area. Okay, I'll go ahead and cut that. For the sweetheart neckline, remember I didn't cut it out because I wanted to use this pattern to draft out the back. So what I'll do is to add half an inch to the sweetheart neckline area, as you can see, and then I'm going to connect. After connecting, I'm going to go ahead and cut. Okay, so for the side front also, I went ahead to add half an inch all the way around the pattern paper. The only place I did not add half an inch is the side, because I've already added my stitching allowance on the pattern paper, so there's no need for me to add any other allowance on the side because we already have our stitching allowance. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut. So guys, after cutting, this is what I have for the side front, and this is what the center front looks like I said before, don't forget the center front should be on fold. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to remove my pins for you guys to see. So for the center front, I have just one piece, and for the side front, I have two pieces. Okay, I'm going to place them side by side. So this is what is going to look like. I'll open up the center front, and I'm going to place the two side fronts on the side. Okay, I'm going to place them like this. So this is what is going to look like, and this is how you are going to join your fabrics together. But before we join the fabrics, I'm going to go ahead and cut out wording. Okay, I want to add wording to it because I don't want to wear a bra with it. So this is my wording. I'm going to cut the center front first. I'll go ahead and fold it into two, as you can see. I'll also fold my center front into two, and I'll place it on the wording. Okay, so make sure that the center front is on fold, your the center front of your wording, sorry, should be on fold, and you're going to cut from the under bust line. So I placed my tape. Remember, my under bust is 13 inches. Okay, so I'll figure out where the under bust is. That is where the wording is going to stop. And for the neckline area, I'm going to go down by 1 inch from the neckline, so that when I stitch my lining to the main fabric, is not going to be puffy, it's going to be flat. Okay, I don't want the wording to be an obstacle to my lining piece, so I'm going to fold the neckline by 1 inch, as you can see me doing, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim off this wording. Okay, I'll trim off the side, and I'll trim off the neckline area. I hope you guys are not confused. Okay, so after cutting, this is what it looks like. So guys, I'm going to place the shiny part of this wording on the wrong side of my fabric. Remember, I came down by 1 inch from this neckline area. I will ensure that I place it away from the 1 inch to enable me stitch my lining to my main fabric without any form of bulge. Okay, so I'm going to pin it down. Okay, after doing that, I'll cut out the wording for the two side fronts. I went ahead to fold my wording into two. Remember to stop at the under bust line. So from my under bust to the length of my half length is 4 inches. Okay, so go ahead and figure that out. For the neckline area also, I'm going to go down by 1 inch so it does not obstruct my lining when I'm sewing it. I'm going to now fold it like this. After folding, I'll go ahead and cut the side and the neckline area. After cutting out, this is what I have. So I have two pieces, one for the right side and one for the left side. I'm just going to go ahead and trim it off a little because it looks too big. So guys, I'm going to now place the shiny part of this wording on the wrong side of my fabric, as you can see. After pinning, I'm going to place it. I'll pin it, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut out my stay. Okay, because I'll be placing essay on this fabric to give it strength. So I've gone ahead to pin all the wording to the fabric. So this is my stay. I'm going to iron stay on it, and I'm going to cut out my lining piece also. For the skirt part of this dress, I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4, and I left 2 inches for my zipper allowance. To know the length of your dress, go ahead and take out your half length, okay, the one that we've already cut out already. So my half length is 16 inches. From there I'm going to mark my dress length, which is 60 inches. Okay, so I left 2 inches, which is on the open edge of the fabric, for my zipper allowance. Okay, and the folded edge is the front. What I did was to go down by 10 inches, which is the distance from my waist to my hip. So the upper part of this fabric is the waistline, while this other line is the hip line. Okay, like I said, I left 2 inches, which is on the opened edge, for my zipper allowance. I'll start by taking my measurements on the waistline. From the folded edge of the fabric, I'll take my waist circumference divided by 4. I'll add 1 inch for that and 1.5 inches for my stitching allowance. On the hip line, take note of where I'm placing my tape. Okay, I'm placing it after the zipper allowance. I'll place my hip circumference divided by 4 and I'll add 1.5 inches for my stitching allowance. Okay, I didn't add that allowance to the hip area because that is not going to get to the hip line. Okay, so I'm going to connect the dots on the waistline to meet the dots on the hip line, just like you see me doing. So make sure the curve you have on the hip line is not that sharp. So on the base of this skirt, I'm going to reduce what I have on the hip line. So on the hip line I have about 12.5 inches. I'm going to reduce that by 2.5 inches. So what I'll place on the base is 10 inches because I want the waist area of this skirt to be fitted. But if you don't want it to be fitted, go ahead and slant straight down from the hip line. Whatever you have on the hip line, slant from that point to the base of the skirt. Okay, so I'm going to slant as you can see me doing. After slanting, this is what I have, guys. The next thing I'm going to do is to cut. After cutting, I have both the front and the back piece together. The next thing I'll do is to take my dart. So I'm going to place my tape on the center front and I'll go in by 4 inches, which is half of my nipple to nipple measurement. I'll indicate the 4 inches. On that 4 inches mark, I'll go down by 3 inches, which is going to be how long the dart for the front will be. And then on that straight line, I'm going to take half an inch on both sides and I'll connect back to the 3 inches length of the dart. So that is all for the dart. I'm going to notch it just so I know where my dart is when I'm sewing. Okay, after doing that, guys, on the center front, just the front piece, I'm going to go down by half an inch. You can do 1 inch, but I'll just go down by half an inch on the center front and I'll slant to the other side of the waist area. Okay, this is to avoid bulge on the waist area of the front pattern. So after slanting it, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so go ahead and cut it out. After cutting out, I'm going to re-notch my dart. Okay, just so I know where my dart is, I'll re-notch it and I'll open it up for you guys to see. So this is my front piece. The center front is on fold, of course, and this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and cut out my lining piece for this. Okay, the lining should be at least 1 inch shorter than the main fabric, and this is my front piece. I'll notch my zipper allowance to know where my zipper allowance is when I'm sewing. Okay, that is all for the drafting of this skirt pattern, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my lining piece for the back also, making sure that the lining is at least 1 inch shorter than the main fabric. The next thing we'll cut is our detachable yoke. Okay, so I have my basic bodice pattern here. Okay, I'll quickly run you guys through the points. So the first point here is the distance from my shoulder to my chest line, which is 9 inches. The next point is distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches, and the length of this pattern paper is 13.5 inches, which you don't even need anyways. So the first thing I did was to place half of my shoulder measurements. Okay, on that point I went down by 1 inch and I slanted into the neckline area, and then I went down by half of my round armhole circumference. After doing that, I ruled a straight line across. I found the middle point of this straight line. I indicated it with a dot, And on the chest line, I placed my bust circumference divided by 4. I connected from that point to the midpoint of this straight line. And on the waistline, I placed my waist circumference divided by 4 and I connected the lines. The next thing I'll do is to take the neckline measurement. For the width, I took 3 inches, and for the depth, I'll be taking 3.5 inches. After doing that, I'm going to connect like this. After connecting, this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So I've not added any stitching allowance to this pattern paper. I'm just going to cut it out. I'll add the stitching allowance on the fabric when I'm cutting. After cutting, guys, this is what I have. So we're going to draft out the yoke. So what I'll do is to place my tape on the chest line, on my chest line, which is 9 inches, and I'll go down by 2 inches. You can go down by 1.5 inches, okay? So I'll indicate the 2 inches with a dot. So to create the keyhole neckline on the chest line, that is on my center front, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches. So it depends on how open you want the keyhole neckline to be. For me, I don't want it to be too open. That is why I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches. So I'll place my tape like this and I'll mark 1.5 inches. After doing that, I'm going to use my curved ruler to connect from this 1.5 inches to meet the 2 inches mark like this. So if you don't have a curved ruler, you can go ahead and use your free hand, okay? After connecting, guys, this is what I have. This is what we'll be using for the front yoke. So the back yoke is not supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be straight. So what I'm going to do is to place my ruler from that 2 inches and I'll just connect to the other side of the pattern paper. Okay, so the back is straight while the front has this curve. It has this shape. So I'm just going to place my ruler just like you see me doing, and I'll connect like this. After connecting, I'm going to cut out the back yoke first, okay, and we'll use this pattern to cut out our back before we go ahead and cut out the front. After cutting out the back, guys, this is what I have. So I'm going to place this on my fabric and I'll use it to cut out the back first. I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 2. Okay, this is the back piece. I'll be needing a zipper, so I went ahead to take 1.5 inches for my zipper allowance. So I'm going to roll a straight line. As you can see, this is going to serve as the zipper allowance. The next thing I'll do is to adjust the back neckline. So for the depth, I'm going to take 1.5 inches for the back, because the back neckline and the front neckline is not supposed to be the same. The back is higher than the front, so I took 1.5 inches for the depth. I'm going to go ahead and connect like this. After doing that, I'll add half an inch to the shoulder area. I'll add half an inch to the base also. I'll add my stitching allowance of 1 inch to the side. Remember, I did not add stitching allowance to the side, so I went ahead to just add 1 inch. That's what I'll be using to stitch both the front and the back together, and I'll cut out the armhole exactly as it is. After doing that, I'll split my zipper allowance open and I'll notch the zipper allowance. So this is what I have for the back, guys. I have 2 pieces and this is what it looks like. So we are going to work on the front. So I'm going to cut out this keyhole neckline. After cutting it out, I'm going to go ahead and place it on my fabric folded into 2, making sure that the right side, the center front is on fold. I've gone ahead to do that and I've pinned it down. So what I'll do is to add half an inch all the way around, but on the side I'm going to add 1 inch, which is going to serve as my stitching allowance. Okay, on the neckline also I'm going to add half an inch, because I don't want the neckline to be too deep since it's already 3.5 inches. After doing that, I'm going to go ahead and cut. After cutting, guys, this is what I have. So like I said before, don't forget that your center front should be on fold. Okay, so place both the back and the front together, making sure that the sides are lined, because when you join it, you don't want one to be longer than the other. So go ahead and confirm that. If it's not the same, go ahead and trim the one you are supposed to trim. Okay, so this is my these are my 2 back pieces, guys. I'm going to arrange them in place and I'm going to place them on each other to confirm that the sides is the same. So they are the same, the side is the same. Okay, I'll go ahead and open the front pattern up for you guys to see. So I'll remove my pins and I'll open it up. This is what I have for the center front. This is what it looks like, and these are my two back piece, guys. So what I'll do is to go ahead and cut out lining piece for the three pieces that I have here, okay? And yeah, for the sleeves we'll cut that in the next tutorial. This tutorial is getting too long, so we're going to stop here and continue in the next tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay tuned for the sewing version of this video. Don't forget to like, leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.